This is a true story. It happened right here in my town 2 years ago. At 2:17 in the morning, every other kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, opened the front door, walked across the front yard and into the dark. And they never came back.
Horror has a long-standing tradition of using the familiar and safe as a facade for the grotesque and the uncanny. Following his first solo directorial breakout hit Barbarian, Weapons writer and director Zach Cregger takes this tradition and turns it into something primal, darkly humorous, and disturbingly intimate. On its surface, Weapons asks a simple question: what happened to the 17 children who vanished in a small town at exactly 2:17 a.m.? But as the story unravels, it becomes clear that the film is less about solving a puzzle and more about exposing how trauma, control, and fear hide in the spaces we trust most: homes, schools, and families. What makes Weapons so compelling and darkly humorous is that it doesn't promise neat closure. The climax delivers a violent catharsis, but the denouement leaves us with a heavy question: what do we do after the monster is gone? Cregger purposely holds back full answers, and the result is a horror film whose ending resonates not only because of what happens, but because of what lingers. Take the fictional town of Maybrook, Pennsylvania, an ordinary-looking suburb where everything seems tidy, calm, and predictable. The peace is shattered on one odd night. At exactly 2:17 in the morning, 17 children from the same third-grade class rise from their homes and walk out into the night. Well, almost everyone except for one boy named Alex Lilly. The visuals alone, children arms stretched, running Naruto-style silently through the suburban streets, becomes one of the film's signature images. We begin following several characters whose lives overlap around this mystery: a teacher, father, cop, principal, a drug addict, and even the young Alex himself. The teacher of the missing children's class, Justine Gandy, becomes a prime target of suspicion. It's easy for the town to cast blame on the teacher. After all, hers was the only class it happened to. At the same time, a father named Archer Graff is descending into obsessive investigation after his own child disappears. He scours Ring doorbell footage, map trajectories, and even stalks Justine's every move and paints witch on her car. However, the real danger enters not as an intruder, but as something that feels off from the moment she appears. When Alex Lilly's ailing Aunt Gladys moves into the house, it's under the guise of needing care and a place to recover. But there's an unease about her, as if the sickness has already taken something vital. She brings with her a strange, dead-looking tree, bundles of twigs, and rituals involving hair and water bowls. What begins as an act of compassion from Alex's parents soon turns to the worst, with their life force being drained away, and Alex is coerced into maintaining normalcy in the home while the monstrous truth grows around him. It becomes clear that her frailty is a mask. Gladys is not a helpless relative, but a parasite feeding on the life around her, slowly draining energy from the family and looking to the town's youth itself.
Bring an object from each of your classmates home to me. That might work.
She's desperate to preserve her youth and strength, using the tree as a conduit to channel life from others. The missing children, the growing sense of decay, and the strange hold she exerts on Alex all converge in his home. In the basement, the drug addict James and eventually the desperate father Archer Graff discover the horrifying truth. The children are alive but motionless, trapped in a kind of living death as Gladys siphons their life to keep her own fading body alive. While the film calls for many questions, one could ask, why does this all happen at 2:17? While Cregger has left much for discussion, an easier answer could be the fact 17 people from her class went missing and 2 were left behind. However, Cregger has noted the number is intentional. Beyond the idea of the time of 2:17 connects directly to Gladys's victims, there's also an unmistakable biblical echo in the number. Now, Weapons isn't overtly political or religious, but the parallel feels too deliberate to be pure coincidence. Archer, whose name suggests a hunter, becomes consumed with finding his son Matthew. His obsession mirrors a passage from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2:17, where the massacre of innocents fulfills a prophecy of mothers weeping for their lost children. That same number is even engraved on a giant floating gun in one of Archer's nightmares, which could suggest the 217 winning votes in the House of Representatives ban on assault rifles. The image suggests the real violence and weapons isn't mystical but human, reflecting the senseless mass tragedies that plague modern life. The witchcraft becomes a metaphor for how fear, grief, and obsession can turn ordinary people into instruments of destruction. Throughout the movie, Cregger seeds visual cues to support that idea. On a chalkboard in Justine's classroom, students learn about parasites. And later, a nature documentary about the cordyceps fungus plays in the background as Gladys prepares her next ritual. The message is loud and clear. This isn't a story about missing children, but about control, about something that takes over from within. Gladys's heavy red lipstick, the artificial wig, the forced smiles all suggest denial of death as she's trying to keep her body and spirit intact by consuming others. When the final confrontation comes, all the threads collide inside the Lily house. Justine and Archer storm the home, the children stand silently in the basement, and Gladys controls them all like puppets. It's Alex, the one child who never left his bed that night, who finally fights back. He takes one of her enchanted branches, wraps it in her hair, and snaps it in half. The spell collapses, the children awaken bursting from the basement, and in one of the film's most striking and entertaining sequences, they turn on their captor. The witch is torn apart by the very victim she once controlled, with the reversal as violent as it is inevitable. Afterward, there is no sense of triumph. The children come home, but many can no longer speak. Alex's parents remain catatonic, institutionalized, and barely responsive. And the final voice we hear is that of a child telling us that the survivors never fully recovered. It's a devastating close that reframes the entire story. Weapons isn't about defeating evil. It's about living with what it leaves behind. Yes, there is a plethora of horror movies where the monster represents grief or depression to the point it's starting to be a tired trope. However, with Weapons, that theme comes from a deeply personal place. Cregger wrote the film while grieving the death of his best friend and longtime collaborator, Trevor Moore. The two co-founded The Whitest Kids You Know, a comedy troupe that thrived on absurd and dark humor. Moore's sudden death in 2021 left Cregger struggling with loss, and writing Weapons became a way to process all that pain. The movie's imagery of missing children and broken parents becomes a metaphor for grief itself. It's an absence that can't be explained in a world that tries to keep functioning around the void.
I really do want to say it all the time because I feel it all the time.
Cregger's personal connection runs even deeper through an unexpected moment of levity. In one scene, Principal Marcus and his husband sit with a tray of snacks and 7 hot dogs. It seems like a throwaway joke, albeit a very funny one, until you realize it's an homage to a classic Whitest Kids You Know sketch where Trevor Moore plays a doctor lecturing a man about eating 7 hot dogs a day.
I hope there's no more hot dogs in the day, 'cause we're up to 7 now.
It's a small but heartfelt tribute, along with the film's release date landing close to the anniversary of Moore's passing, turns Weapons into a quiet act of remembrance. But one question still lingers. Who or what is Aunt Gladys? Even as the film's story closes, its world feels unfinished. Cregger has already confirmed that a prequel centered around Aunt Gladys is in development. He's collaborating with writer Zach Shields, and the plan is to make something that expands the mythology rather than explain it away. But for now, the mystery of this clown-faced witch makes it all the compelling. Amy Madigan's performance as Gladys was one of the film's most praised elements, balancing menace with strange vulnerability. So exploring that character further feels natural. The Witch of Weapons isn't some immortal sorceress. She's a decaying woman clinging to life and terrified of death. Understanding how she became that way could deepen the film's central theme that evil isn't always supernatural. It can grow out of very human fear. But the true meaning of Weapons lies in its title. Sure, the branches Gladys uses to control her victims are literal weapons, as with the children running like heat-seeking missiles. But Cregger turns the concept inward. The real weapons are grief, fear, and denial, the very emotions that make people easy to manipulate. The witch's power is only possible because of the community around her is already broken. Even after she's gone, her influence remains, lingering in silence and trauma. Weapons refuses to offer closure, and that's what makes it so powerful. It's less a horror film about a witch and more of a meditation on what grief does to people, and how it can make anyone complicit in cruelty. Every scream, every silence, every lingering shot of an empty house feels like an echo of loss. Cregger's direction keeps returning to that same question. What happens after the monster is gone? By the time the credits roll, Maybrook looks the same, but it isn't. The children are home, yet unreachable. The parents are alive, yet hollowed out. The teacher is cleared of suspicion, but is forever marked. Cregger's real-life grief seeps into every frame, turning weapons into both a horror story and a personal exorcism. It's his way of confronting something that can't be undone by channeling pain into creation instead of destruction. Like Barbarian, is proof that Cregger has a knack for blending absurdity, terror, and sincerity into something that feels deeply human. Weapons doesn't end with closure, it ends with a feeling, and that might be the most haunting thing of all.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.